joining us right now is former Lieutenant Governor Betsy McCoy. Betsy, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm thrilled with this appointment.
I was going to say,
don't let the news out of the studio.
You're thrilled with the announcement, but is there going to be a challenge because of this rule that he needs to get over?
I don't think so. It's a formality. And the fact is that everyone agrees this is a terrific appointment. He's currently as far away from Washington as can be, working out at the Hoover Institution. This is not a leader who sought this job, but in fact he has a philosophy, a fight to win. We've been in the Middle East for 16 years, not winning, and he has a philosophy about the rules of engagement that's very promising.
What are you seeing out there, Jake, and what's the reaction so far?
Universally positive. Here is a general, again, Mad Dog, as if I know him on a first-name basis or by his nickname, who is willing to disagree with Donald Trump. I know that he disagrees with Trump on Russia, for example. He's very concerned about Russia's posture in areas like Syria, Ukraine, the Baltics. Again, the possible power grab there. He has also told the president-elect that torture does not work. And one thing that is important to point out, this is a man, when he left his job, he went on a road trip to visit Gold Star families of Marines who were killed under his command. And he visited family after family after family over a period of weeks, and he wrote every one of those families individual letters.
And even
I think that goes to what Anthony Scaramucci's been talking about. He understands war, and he understands the consequences. That's critical.
Right. And even though he has disagreed with Trump on some issues, he's very much on the same page with Trump on the dangers of radical Islam and the importance of confronting that. And by the way, I think he would be a terrific team member with one of the candidates under consideration for Secretary of State, John Bolton, very experienced, also has a put America first rather than globalism and international norms approach. They'd be a good team.
And we're also talking about General Petraeus this morning as well, which we'll get to. Now, he made that announcement about Mad Dog, Mike, at the Carrier, on his thank you tour. He also visited the Carrier plant yesterday in Indiana. He announced this deal to keep jobs in America rather than seeing those jobs go to Mexico. Watch.
I will tell you that United Technologies and Carrier stepped it up, and now they're keeping, actually the number's over 1,100 people, which is so great.
The simple truth was that policies coming out of our nation's capital were literally driving jobs out of this country.
We've had productive discussions with President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Pence about their plans to improve the competitiveness of the U.S. business environment through tax reform and through a more thoughtful approach to regulation.
Big victory there for Trump. And in exchange for keeping jobs in the U.S., Carrier will receive $7 million in tax breaks. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Mike, that was a big deal yesterday in terms of jobs. What's your take on what we've seen?
That was a huge deal. And remember, this isn't even a month after the election. You know, he's not even the president yet. So although it's 1,100 jobs, I think the symbolic effects here, just showing that he's going to follow through, that he understands business, and he's going, now you have a United Technologies company, you know, multi-billion-dollar company coming out and falling in line with President Trump. I think that this is why we have the optimism out there. People finally in middle America, or anyone who owns a business, is now saying we're going to have less regulation, better taxes, so the U.S. has an opportunity to really expand.
The Wall Street Journal editorial page, though, is calling this a shakedown.
Well, you know, I thought they were unfair about this.
Well, I'll tell you why. Let me explain what they said, because it goes back to what I was saying during the campaign. Who makes better decisions about your money? Do the companies make them? Do individuals make them? This is a president-elect helping this company make this decision about jobs. And he added yesterday when Trump was speaking, companies are not going to leave the U.S. anymore without consequences. He's threatening to penalize companies if they ever move jobs overseas. So that's assuming, does Donald Trump know more about running all these individual companies than the actual CEOs and executives. It's something that's concerning for conservatives.
Well, but on the other hand, Donald Trump has made it very clear that he understands, his team understands, that ultimately the approach should be to lower taxes and deregulate and make this a great environment for all companies to produce jobs and profits. But he's not president yet, and there were jobs on the line, and now 800 families in Indiana will go into the Christmas season knowing they can put food on the table for their families and pay their mortgages. And let me tell you, when I look at that, and he got it cheap, $895 per job. I know in New York, they've paid 6 figures for jobs on occasion.
Well, you know, I mean, I don't think anybody's expecting Donald Trump to be picking up the phone, calling all companies, right? And getting into the nitty-gritty of where will the factory be and where won't it be. But this does set a precedent, like you said, Mike, in terms of the optimism out there. One by one, you're seeing companies at least talk about it, talk about focusing on America first.
And, you know, to Dagan's point on, is it a shakedown? You know,
that was not my word. That was the Wall Street Journal.
Right, to what you brought up. Sorry, I apologize.
I'm truly negative.
Do not mess with us.
Right. So I think, though, you know, there's so much money spent by the government at all times. If spending $7 million to keep 1,100 jobs in the country, like, for me, that's a shakedown I'll take all the time. I think it's a great business decision to help our economy.
And Indiana will get that money back in tax revenue the first year.
But let's not forget, United Technologies is a defense company, okay? A big portion of revenue
10%.
is coming 10% from government contracts.
Right.
So if you've got the president-elect saying, look, we think you should do this, even if it wasn't an out-and-out shakedown, you do have the feeling, well, you know what, I don't want to go against this person. He's my big major customer, government, 10% contracts.
And if we have incredible optimism and enthusiasm in this market rally about the expected corporate and individual income tax cuts, the massive rollback in regulations. However, if you have the president-elect and people who are in his cabinet who keep going out saying, we're going to bring pain on you if you move jobs overseas. If you decide to close a plant here, we're going to make you pay for it. The market will turn around because, again, the market's focused on all the good that he's planned. But if you're talking about protectionist trade policies, investors do not like that.
Let me point out the contrast, though. I moved to Connecticut. Dan Malloy, the governor of Connecticut, recently contacted a company that had announced it was pulling out, as so many have from this high-tax state. And he notified them what their workers' unemployment benefits would be after they left. That is the wrong approach. I like to see people in government at least reaching out to the companies and saying, what can we do to keep you here?
But that was a company moving to another state. That wasn't a company moving to another country. There's a big difference there.
Well, but the approach is we need jobs.
Yeah, well, GE is leaving, I mean, one of the major companies that left Connecticut. But do you think this is a precedent for other companies, that they're going to just see this and sort of look at it as the writing on the wall?
I think other companies are finally going to start to feel like, thank God something's going to be done. We've had regulations. We've had increase in health care costs. We've had the pending FLSA that just was stopped by a judge in Texas, you know, for those increases to go through. Employers can't afford to do business here, and it's why hiring has really slowed down. It's because they haven't been able to hire. They can't invest. So I think this sets a precedent, a good tone. I think it could be very good for optimism for CEOs to start hiring.
You have to see this as a positive. I mean, you have to.
And he's not even president yet.
You're a happy woman this morning. Betsy, good to see you.